Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I'm sinking into the chair. Okay, well, we have a great panel assembled for you today, and we're going to get right to it. So starting on our left, we have Michelle Vita. She's the VP of Procurement and Strategic Sourcing at Datadog. SaaS monitoring firm. We need definitely good SaaS monitoring with all those little agents running around, so hopefully they've been permissioned properly so that we can see them. We have Megha Malik, who is Head of Services Procurement at Booking Holdings, which you probably know as Priceline, Kayak, and Booking.yeah. She also knows her way around direct as well. She worked at Nike and Wayfair and Vertex. And then last we have Carlos Hernandez. He runs the procurement excellence area at Sanofi, but he's not just a COE lead. He actually has been a category leader in multiple categories across some small organizations like P&G and Estee Lauder. So I'm really excited to have this panel here with me today. So agents need context, and so does this panel. So we're going to start with a little context about what actually led you guys to the use of AI? Did it start in procurement? Was it at the enterprise level in IT? What kind of got you to where you are right here? So Michelle, let me start with you.
So I would say for my team in procurement, we're probably a little behind in comparison to where the rest of my company is in regards to AI. So the most interaction that I have with, sort of empowering my company to scale and to use AI is really the process around it, and like the process of onboarding AI vendors. So it is such a huge initiative at my organization, right? There's very much a motto of speed is how you win, right? So they want to always be the first mover on checking out these new AI tools to see how they can benefit the organization. And like you mentioned, it's a B2B SaaS company, so it's very engineer first, engineer heavy company, a lot of R&D. So with my seat in procurement, a lot of it is opening the doors for them to speed up the process in which we are onboarding these AI tools while not losing the integrity of sort of our risk profile and our risk appetite, because a lot of these AI tools do pose significant risk to the organization if you're not doing that due diligence, and we can't just open the door for anybody to, do business with any tool that, they want. So it's been a big exercise for my team to sort of help them prioritize and get all of these teams that are involved in the review process to start looking at these AI requests differently than just any old software tool. So there's been a lot of collaboration between the teams to say, okay, these are going to be the most high priority and the most urgent. When these AI requests come through, we have to put them at the top of the pile. And then the way that we hold, the whole process accountable is that I'm then reporting on our cycle times for how quickly we're onboarding these, different AI tools. And that really keeps each team accountable in the process that they are looking at this as a priority for the organization, and they're sort of unlocking the value for our engineers.
Well, it's really interesting. You're in the position of actually sourcing AI, not just the AI, automation of sourcing.
Exactly.
So I guess I would say it seems like it's good to partner with IT so that you can see all the goodies coming into the enterprise, and maybe you can know the stakeholders to hang out with and get some AI capabilities. So Megha, let's turn it over to you. You have a bit of a different story around kind of adoption or blockers and all that kind of stuff, so tell us how you
Yeah, at Booking Holdings, we are definitely lagging as a procurement function for sure, right? We're learning here, sitting with this audience, we can see there's a path to success soon enough. But I think where we've also been investing time is more consumer-facing AI, making sure, you might have heard of Penny for Priceline, just kind of getting AI out there quickly for our consumers. But internally, while we have prioritized bringing AI solutions into the organization, we are actually could learn from organizations like you where the processes are very complicated. The governance around AI is pretty strict at this point in time. I guess that's the best word I can use. We have multiple brands, and each brand has its own governance model out there, which makes it really hard to bring enterprise or group-wide solutions into the mix. And it slows us down to a certain extent. This, I think, comes with I'm being talked off. This comes with a little bit of a risk appetite situation as well. Like we are a tech company, but still learning. And I think we were having some conversations on the side. we're still waiting and watching as to what happens in the universe of AI before we can adapt to it.
Well, it's good to know that even high-tech companies that have multiple business units and brands have complexity as well, especially when you try to go across them with the strategic sourcing and whatnot. So Carlos, how about yourself and your journey?
Yeah, in Sanofi, I joined the company only in January, right? So I'm still almost like learning about everything that's being done. But there's a lot of, the journey into AI has really started. It's a big deal within Sanofi. We have an internal kind of like ChatGPT, called Concierge, that's connecting to different parts of the company, like pulling internal data. So we have kind of like our own, ChatGPT equivalent. On the procurement side, we're actually connecting that with guided buying, where people can actually search for things already, asking this chat instead of going to a tool directly. And overall, there's a big push to expand AI. Sometimes it's coming through tools that we're already owning, but there's a big push of like leveraging this platform more and more, and like for people to go answer all of their questions in the company using this chat. So we also have a data lake, and we're putting all of our data there, which is a great foundation also to be able to pull all that information. So yeah, it's going really well.
You got market intelligence feeds coming in too, right?
Yeah, so we're also looking to integrate. Part of the work that I'm doing is on category strategy, and we're trying to automate for buyers, for sourcing buyers, the way they're pulling data into the category strategies, including bringing data from external market intelligence, so that it's actually almost like our vision is to almost pre-populate that into category strategies, spend data, market intelligence into the strategies.
Well, I think that's a great example of working with the IT organization to kind of have your own private instance of ChatGPT, or pick your favorite LLM, to let you guys really experiment in a safe way and start to bring some value and really get comfortable with the tools. But I like how you're starting to bring in the broader data picture, right, and the broader intelligence. So maybe let's talk to data, because all those agents do need data, and there's a common story here, right? So maybe let's just stay with you, and we'll work backward around kind of in terms of your data strategy, data and analytics. You have a data lake. Maybe just tell us a little bit about kind of how you're managing data and analytics as a different way to kind of go after the problem. I mean, orchestration, great process on top, but from a data on top, and how we use that kind of pane of glass into the business, like just some insights around that.
Yeah, as I mentioned, having that great foundation, like literally it's called the data foundation, where we're putting all of our data, it helps a lot. Of course, we have issues in my previous company, Estée Lauder, like this whole thing about, particularly on the indirect side, where you have miscategorized spend, right? With my team, spending a month, like working on, like reviewing all this file with data, are things in the right category, do we move it? Like starting to use, so we're working on a pilot to actually use a tool with AI to actually help and actually have the tool be the one recategorizing data, not just setting a lot of rules over and over again, but actually the tool learns and it actually does it for us. And there are other things for supplier management, like trying to pull data from internet sources of what's happening with that supplier to create like this one picture of what's happening with the supplier to feed the SRM, including spend data, performance data, or risk as well, and try to bring it into one. So that's not up and running, but it's something that we're starting to work on.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I love how you're talking about you're taking the analytics and the data and injecting it back into the process where it's needed versus, oh, it's in a data warehouse, it's in a spend cube, it's in a dashboard, good luck, find some opportunities. No, you're actually serving that up as like tools that can then be invoked by the agents and brought in as needed, or just regular tools as well, which is a good thing. So Megha, maybe we can ask.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous. I think it's a tale as old as time, right? Like we're trying to look for that perfect data set, in the data warehouse. I think tools exist. I think I believe it doesn't have to be 100% right. Let's work with the 60%, 70% done, and start building something on top of it, whatever version of analytics it is. If we can get to AI, wonderful. Let's work with automation until then. But I think this is something we have to instill in ourselves, that we can't chase perfection in this and just work with what we have. And hopefully it'll get cleaner and better with all these wonderful agents we just heard about. just in the previous session, and get to it. But till then, we'll learn from people like you and keep moving.
It seems like there's many places to start, right? So, it seems like you have many opportunities ahead of you. Okay, so Michelle.
I think it's almost like, there are so many opportunities to use it, within procurement. I think it's almost like a muscle that you need to learn how to use, though, because we have so many complicated data sets that even, with me, it's like I have a spend file, and my natural instinct is to throw it into a pivot table like in Excel and look at it. But in reality, I could do it so much better and faster if I was just to throw it into ChatGPT. And I think that's been a challenge, for my team, is just kind of thinking that way and to gravitate towards that resource rather than doing it yourself. And I think that's been a big thing to unlock for us. I mean, we've done a lot with it, but there's so much more that we can do. A great thing that we've done is a negotiation strategy even. We throw in, this is information that we've gotten from our vendor. This is our situation, our current pricing. How would you go back and negotiate with this vendor? And it gives, great insight. Obviously, we throw our own spin on it, but it's very interesting because it's really not a natural instinct for everybody, right? It's something that you really need to learn how to use and sort of, put into your process and your day-to-day, so.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much the visibility of all different groups or whatever, you can kind of take the best of what everybody does,
Right.
Not just the worst of every governance model and put it into one giant mega governance, but taking the best and kind of see what people do and kind of bring those together. So let's maybe shift that focus from data now to process. So let's kind of talk about, orchestration is the hot term, right? And how do we kind of orchestrate these business processes? And of course, all the agents that will help with those business processes. But maybe just let's talk a little bit about what you guys see in terms of how you think about orchestration and process. And obviously, this is not a new thing, Lean, Six Sigma, process management, all that kind of stuff, right? But how do you kind of see some of the value around how you get started with improving processes and then maybe looking at agentic and other things, because they're very they're very process oriented. So maybe just talk a little bit about how you think about orchestration in terms of either where you are or where you'd like to go. So start.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to what I was talking about earlier of just empowering my organization to get to these things quicker, right? Orchestration plays a huge part in that, right? So we've recently implemented a new orchestration tool, and it's been a wild success, right? Our cycle times are way better than they were before. It was taking us some tools are 60 days to get through the process, which as an end user is a nightmare. And for me in my seat is a nightmare also because the perception is just horrible when it's 60 days. Now we're looking at more, for very complicated, robust reviews, it's around 15. But there's still opportunities throughout the process that can be better. And specifically to plug AI into the mix, there's still things throughout the process where there is human intervention, right? And I'm not saying that it's going to go away entirely, but there are things like quality control checks that are happening, right? Where you have a person that's looking at the request when it first gets in to the system, and they're like, okay, did the end user fill it out right? Did they put all of the information? Did they code it correctly, right? Did they, fat finger it and put the wrong total? Anything like that, you still have a person on my team that's sort of vetting out every request. And I really think that is an opportunity throughout orchestration of how you can sort of fit AI into it where they can do those, quality control checks throughout the process and just, have your team focus on things that bring more value than that.
Yeah, and please.
I think for us, we are still so early in the journey that thinking about orchestration seems so far out in some ways. But what we can do is, if we can take away the mundane from the team to actually be the people thinking about reimagining those processes early, and then hopefully going down the path of orchestration and using the agents accordingly, would be the end goal. That's the North Star I'm hoping for, at least in the short term, because I think that will elevate our team members to be the most strategic thought partners that they are and should be to our business.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think your point about kind of understanding the process discipline is great, so that what you promise to the business, you can actually execute on, but also move upstream. So a lot of folks start with orchestration around intake management. We have a common place to get together. So that seems like a good place if you're going to do guided buying or guided whatever, right? Kind of have a common place. But there's also processes upstream, planning and budgeting, CapEx, business planning, renewals, whatever, all that stuff. So Carlos, maybe just talk a little bit about some of these use cases and kind of that process discipline and how you manage that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we haven't implemented orchestration. And Megha, like you're saying that you envy that, but I think we're in a great time right now where there's a great ability to leapfrog, right? Like sometimes getting something implemented in a bigger company, you see smaller companies that actually leapfrog some of the bigger ones. I'm very happy, and I felt like coming into Sanofi, I felt like it was a luxury to have people focus on data. Like I had a person to talk to about the data in procurement. But I feel like we're a little far away on orchestration. I see the need, I see people starting to talk about it, but the good thing is like we have like the good bones of having the data available, and I'm sure I will also learn from other companies how they've implemented it. I've heard this morning during breakfast somebody telling me about actually using an orchestration tool to do some CLM. Like maybe you don't have a CLM tool and you do partial CLM in the orchestration tool, right? So it's like how you can combine these business cases and actually get something done.
Well, that's a great use case. I mean, because thinking about how contracts are the core, the commercial data of a contract is the core of an enterprise across all these processes, and everyone got their own fragmented CLMs when it's kind of the same thing, but those processes on using the contracts and authoring them in the context of different processes seem important. So both data and process kind of coming together. So
yeah, and many of these tools are sometimes having overlap. So you need to be careful, right? Also, right? That you're
what's the governance around that? Yeah.
You're not pointing people to like two different tools. It's like, okay, where do I do it? Here or here, right?
Oh, that's my CLM. No, that's your CLM. Yeah. Guys, it's all contracts, right? So let's get it under control. All right, so let's kind of talk a little bit about let's do a little power round. So what I want to do is have each of you guys take 30 seconds and say, what would be your top recommendation to one of your practitioner peers of what to do or not do? It can be less, more, whatever. And then 30 seconds to talk to the providers in the audience. What would you recommend to them to do more of or to do less of? And we've heard a lot about maybe a little less of the buzzwords, born agentic, all that kind of stuff, right? So maybe we'll kind of just start with you and work back. So 30 seconds for practitioner, 30 seconds for vendor.
Yeah, so as a practitioner, requirements are king, right? So you can have a tool like AI that can do many things, but don't take the tool and try to figure out what to do with it and then try to convince people to do it, right? A key thing about tools is adoption, right? So you need to start with something that's a true need and then see how AI can help with that or any other tools, right? And then from the practitioner side, I would say what I just mentioned, like make sure that you understand what the landscape is, right? Many times you have tools that are expanding into different areas. And yeah, I'm facing that quite a bit where we're implementing a number of tools and we see all the capabilities that they have and they're overlapping with others. So you always need to think about it from the point of view of the user, right? Are you simplifying their lives or are you putting a lot of tools in front of them that then won't have an adoption, right? So make sure that you're looking at the landscape.
Yeah, know your stakeholders and the data and the systems that they operate in, so you're kind of talking their language. You know the world that they're in, the world of hurt that they're in, and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, Megha, how about yourself?
I think from a practitioner's perspective, my point of view is, firstly, the thing not to do is do nothing, right? We have to build a muscle of kind of a fail-fast mentality. Let's keep trying, let's keep testing, whatever we have, it might be imperfect, but let's test and learn and grow with that. So that's going to be for practitioners. For our partners, I think my ask would be, before selling the idea of what we are selling, help us better understand how to better use the solutions in place. Because without that, just adding another layer without optimizing what we have below is just going to create more in the mix.
Right. So it's hard to push a string on the change management side, right? You want to kind of not just throw more tools at them, help them and enable them and get that, adoption sounds like a key strategy. And then, Michelle, let's turn it over to you.
I spoke about this a bit in my last panel, so if anybody was there, sorry to repeat it, but my piece of advice, honestly, the same would go for both, is to not try to replace human emotional intelligence with AI. So like there's a running joke that in some world there's just going to be, like somebody's AI email is going to be talking to somebody else's AI email, and it's just going to be robots talking to each other. But I truly believe that to be a successful procurement practitioner, you have to have emotional intelligence. And I just don't think that we're anywhere near or ever going to get to that point where that can be replaced with AI. So really focus on the things that you can use it for, but don't forget about that important aspect of it, which I really feel like is the key to unlocking like success when it comes to procurement. So that would be my advice for both sides.
Oh, on both sides. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, so you combined them into one. All right, that was a
Yeah.
bit of a cheat. That's okay. We were running over a little bit on the time there. All right, let's wrap up with what's kind of the most exciting thing that really excites you guys about AI or just broader technology in general and kind of what it can do? I mean, doesn't matter where it's coming from. What's the thing that you really chomping at the bit to kind of get, going in your organization? Obviously, you're a COE leader, so you're going to be powering that, but just what really excites you the most out of all this stuff?
I mean, even from what I've heard this morning, this whole thing, Dr. Eloise talking about, like next year have 20, agents that are doing things for you, right? That as we sometimes like struggle with, I don't have the team of the size that I need, right? That you actually can start thinking about, I can actually have AI agents complementing my team, right? And making things easier for us, or actually enabling us to do things that we're not able to do today. So that to me seems pretty exciting. I still need to figure out how to actually, get it.
Sounds very practical, but that too is exciting, right? Just getting adoption, people using it, and actually driving the change. That's a good thing. Megha, how about yourself?
For me, I think the most exciting thing is I'm looking forward to AI making me smarter and hopefully more efficient. I think that will just help me grow further and bring value to the organization.
That's a good answer. Michelle?
Yeah, I heard a panelist here in my last panel talk about how she utilizes Claude from Anthropic to basically maximize the amount of manpower that she can have on her team without actually having people. And she went through 4 different use cases on how she was using it. And after hearing her talk about it, I was just like, wow, I need to go back and jump into Claude because this is a huge untapped resource. So that's something personally I'm really excited to jump into.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how much the limitation is becoming not the technology, but just ourselves in our own,
exactly.
how we think about it, our mental models, and knowing what
Right.
it can do. So I know we only have 2 minutes left. I don't think there was going to be any Q&A. Was there Q&A or? I don't think so. Okay, so we'll wrap up on, I guess one more thing. This human element, and obviously AI can be a pretty scary thing. People and things that maybe you don't always understand enough about can be even scarier. So I think your recommendations about just getting in there and starting to use it kind of reduces, some of the fear. But what are some of the other things that you're looking at, whether it's from a COE around talent enablement, or just more broadly as you think about your teams and what they're working on within the brands or at corporate, the kind of skills that you'd like to see? Obviously emotional intelligence, you talked about, but with regards to the area around AI and just the adoption piece and having people really want to adopt it, versus it's the scary thing. Any kind of just lessons or just plans that you have on the human element and really on the talent side?
Yeah, I think at the core, the work of procurement is to develop a strategy, right? The strategy needs to be fed by business needs. So it means that you need to build a very strong link with the business to know what they're doing, make sure that what you're doing is contributing to the business. We're not here to elevate procurement, We need to contribute to what the business is accomplishing, right? It's never fun to be in a company that's not doing well. And if I'm doing things that help the company do better, that's the way we're going to be, more appreciated, that we're going to be in a healthier company as well, right? So those are the talents then that we need to cultivate, right? Of course, using all of these tools to manage an operation and things like that. But at the core, you need to be connected with the strategy from the business and make sure that you're delivering to it,
Right.
that you are relevant in delivering that strategy.
So that stakeholder management and the strategy defines the envelope around how you then kind of work together to apply those tools to kind of solve those problems and create value.
So if you don't have like the business acumen to sit in the table and really be able to have a business conversation, that becomes difficult, right? It doesn't matter what tools you bring to the table, right? So I feel like that's a key, a key skill.
Makes a lot of sense. Megha?
I think just building on that, right, that's where my mind goes as well, is end of the day, relationship building is what's going to be critical. And that's where these tools, AI, everything in our world is an enabler. It will not replace the value of the human connection, the relationships, which will help you drive to better requirements, understanding the business, and making sure each presentation we've heard is all about what is the input and what is the expected output. If we cannot define that and extract that from our business, then none of these tools are going to work for us. So that relationship will become even more important.
Makes sense. We're out of time, so you got 10 seconds to give us your insight on emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Yeah. I mean, really just to echo what everybody else said. I think a big thing is that you just need to coach people on your team that's like, it's not going to necessarily take your job, but it's going to force you to level up and to strategize. And the things that it's going to take away from you are really not adding value. And it's time to step up and start untapping areas where you can add value to the organization. It's not pressing a button, right? It's being more strategic than that. So.
Perfect. Well, this was great. Got some great insights on tech and on humans and how we drive change. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.